Hey, Derek from ForeGolf Custom here. Today it's TaylorMade Stealth Driver. All right, we've been waiting a while for this to hit. And we like this time of year when stuff comes through and it's all new, but we need a little bit of time so we can figure out how this driver actually applies to fitting. So, skip past all whether it goes faster, what does it sound like, how do Dave and I hit it? That's completely irrelevant for us. What we're looking for here is what are the differences between this driver and maybe current iterations, how this sort of information, then you can use the information to maybe make a decision on what you're thinking about in this driver. And we're not really interested whether it goes fast or not, we're interested in whether it works and whether it'll apply to the different fittings here. So keep watching. The information in here is really important for you because it's not about what we're doing, it's about what our customers are doing. So we're a high-end custom fitting center. We see a lot of customers for fittings, and this information is how you're going to be able to use it to get what you need out of the driver. So important stuff. There's 4 heads, okay? There's a Stealth, there's a Stealth Plus, there's a Stealth HD, which is a high draw product, and then there's a Stealth Ladies. Effectively, the Ladies is just a different colored head, kind of the same as Stealth, but there are 4 different heads. So if you go in and you're still looking at them, you will see 4 different heads when you're out there. It's important to understand which one does what. The playing characteristics of this driver, just give us a quick broad overview of what you're seeing at the fittings.
So run it in order in terms of player speed. So the Plus driver is primarily for the guy or girl who hits the ball harder, has natural more speed themselves. The Stealth is your speed driver, as in as a human being you don't have much speed and you want the club to do the speed work for you. The HD, the high draw, just for somebody with a low cut, which is an amateur problem across the board, and the Ladies is just slightly lighter weight and comes in higher loft, so just again a little bit, it goes better with the lady shaft,
and it's got a different color
profile. And it's a silvery color rather than a black color.
Right, so like I'm seeing a lot of reviews out there and everyone's having this big debate about is it faster or is it quicker off the face. So are you seeing speed gains? Are you seeing like noticeable speed gains from this head? Are
you going to see something that massively gains in speed? No, you're not. It's just not going to happen. It's the thing that they try to outlaw, it's the thing that they try to ban to help control the game a little better.
I think that's real important. So like, we use it's why we're agnostic across different brands. We use the technology that the brands bring to us on a regular basis to apply to the different player scenarios, ball flight scenarios, and what we're trying to do with the ball here. So have these drivers gone further? The answer is yes, they have gone further, but not necessarily because they're quicker off the face. It's because of how we've applied this design to a specific golfer. Okay, so let's break down. So where does this sit then versus Sim and Sim 2?
Take the Stealth Plus driver as a starting point. Sim 2 was maybe away from TaylorMade's traditional good players product, where the weight track disappeared. So now you're back to a weight track which makes it similar to Sim 1, but then you have Sim 2, which was more forgiving. So in reality, if it didn't have a carbon fiber face, which is a new piece of technology which changes its name and brand and structure, it would be Sim 3, because it's the forgiveness of Sim 2 merged with the spin control and variation across the face that you would have got from Sim.
Yeah, so would I be right in saying then, so from a design perspective, they looked at Sim 2 and said, okay, well these are our 2 drivers that have been really popular and well performing.
Very successful, yeah.
How do we make both of those better?
Yes.
And this is a better version of those 2.
Yes.
Not necessarily further or longer, but just a better version of both.
Correct.
So are you seeing it better than, for you as an application, over Sim 2? Well, you are, because of the adjustability, I guess.
It's the bit that I never really got about Sim 2 is why take away the adjustability as a club fitter? Why take away the adjustability factor, which allowed you to fine tune and give you somebody something incredibly precisionally designed for the way they hit the golf ball?
How are you applying the Stealth Plus? So let's use the adjustable hosel, the adjustable weight driver.
Yeah.
Give me the breakdown in terms of player profile from this. So if you're a stronger hitter, longer hitter, better player maybe, I don't know, because it's hard to define based on handicap. It's not about me saying lower handicap, because that doesn't mean anything.
Exactly. Yeah.
So if you're stronger, you hit it hard, you're trying to control the ball flight, give me the player profile. So what are you doing to that driver? Let's start with the head.
The Plus is a deeper chassis, and you've got a weight further forward design in the head. So then as a result, it naturally spins lower. So again, add to your conversational mix somebody who spins the ball high. So traditional back-weighted drivers help get the ball up in the air and spin a little bit more. Traditional front-weighted drivers help take the spin off it. So you can add high spin into that list of characteristics, which tends to come from speed going from the player into the golf club.
And then, so if we were to talk then about the weight track,
yeah,
are you using that much then fitting wise?
I think if you have a very specific miss, so me as an example, everything's always left. So every driver I've always had, and you know I've used TaylorMade drivers a lot over the years, is because you can very specifically front weight and toe weight, which gives you the most anti-hook bias product as well. But then on the flip side of it, there's still loads of speed, get a little bit trapped inside, and you get the high cutter, so you can then use the draw weight on the other side. So I tend to use it in its extremities.
Okay, yeah.
It's either all fade or all draw.
Okay, cool. And because in fairness, what you're doing is you're asking the player, where do you miss? Or notifying, or noticing it from the fitting session and going, I'm going to protect the miss, so I'm going to put it into the...
Yeah, you're trying to create a singular miss. Where am I going to miss? Right. What is my miss? Get rid of one side of the golf course and only worry about one side of the centre. Similarly then, the hosel. Says it adjusts loft, more of a face angle variance. So lower loft will open the face, higher loft will close the face.
Yeah, so that lower higher thing's a bit confusing. I've always guys emailing us, asking us questions about this. Is it higher or lower in terms of the loft? It's not really, it's more open in the face and close. That's how you use it.
In theory, if you open the face, you will de-loft it as you go, and if you close the face, you'll make it higher as you go. So it does work in practice, but what you tend to get is in somebody who hooks it or draws it, you tend to be better with a fade weight and an open face, so a lower loft setting, and then somebody who misses it right to the, or if you're right-handed, so that cut side, that slice, that fade, you tend to use a closed face or the higher loft setting and the draw bias setting.
Gotcha. And then shafts, what are you plugging into it at the moment? What's working well?
So with the front weight coming back into the driver, which again was a miss for me from a fitness perspective, it's now back to being where it should be spin wise, because Sim 2 spun a little bit more than traditional TaylorMade Players product, or so you're then back to much stiffer tips, much more stability running all the way through it.
So more weight, more body.
More weight, more body. I love them, especially with the colourway, the KBS TD, the toe stuff into it, just frequency based, loads of control, loads of body, and then use the head to do the variation left and right.
What are you doing because the spin is low now on it?
The spin is low. If you go to Sim 2, in this category I would have been loads of 9 degrees, and I would have very, very rarely got into a 10.5. But because this doesn't launch as high, or is more difficult to launch because of the front weight track, I'm back up into higher lofts again.
So keep going with the lofts.
So my split would have been traditionally 90-10.
So 90%?
9 degree to 10.5 in Sim 2.
Yeah.
I'm probably now back to 50-50. Maybe 60-40. So you've got, because you now have to factor in loft spin into the whole thing. That was something that's now disappeared.
So keep it going on the loft. So why would you go up in loft then?
Because you've come down 500 RPM in spin because you introduced the weight track back again. So if it's not going to spin, then it has to launch. Otherwise, you won't optimize your distance.
Which is why so you're using loft to launch it, not to spin it.
Absolutely.
And that's why the shaft is changing then as well, because you've now got more loft, so you can change the shaft, bring the shaft more into it.
Correct. And then you can manage loft spin better using the shaft than necessarily having to go down in loft, which then means it won't launch.
I noticed a lot of the tour players have changed their loft settings.
Yeah.
Is that the reason why?
I think so, yeah. And I think traditionally you would have had some of the players into their max driver as well, but by the looks of it, initially everybody's going to go into the Stealth Plus at a pro level. Again, the adjustability, the low spin, the control, all of that's come back in again, so they've all migrated back to that driver again.
So where are you finding distance in this driver for people that come in here? Where is the distance? Because it's not in the face, so let's get past all that. You know, if you got a Sim or a Sim 2, you're not going to see any speed gain from this off the face. I mean, the carbon feels great, looks great. Well, we don't see anything wrong with it. The technology is in the weight saving, not in the speed from the face. So where are you finding distance then?
You're back to the other factors that help you control distance. Optimize spin rate, optimize launch angle, primarily. So the gains in distance are coming from this is a different spinning product, so then how do I get the characteristics of flight right to ensure that it goes the optimum distance?
And so what you're doing is you're up on the loft to get it to launch, to keep the spin consistent in that lower category. But so then you're going to have to work on technique, folks. And you know, be careful if you're pulling this thing off the shelf and thinking it's going to change your life. Be very careful. It needs a technique to hit this, Dave.
I think it works really well with a positive attack angle. So if you hit back, get back on it and hit up on it, then it becomes a brilliant product for helping that. Is it a good product with a negative attack angle? Probably not. It's front weighted. It doesn't launch. It launches low.
So then you're going to have to go to stealth, or you're going to have to go to HD if you're steeper.
That's where stealth comes into its own, which is your traditional TaylorMade drive, which is get it in the air,
right,
control spin.
So for the other golfers out there that aren't positive, that aren't really strong, hitting it solid, whatever, lower handicap or stronger hitters.
The percentage of us.
Well, you can talk about me for that matter. Talk us through then stealth and HD just quickly. Where do they fit in?
Stealth, again, we can't talk about speed off the face, but it's because it doesn't have the front weight, it's a little bit lighter. It goes better with a lighter shaft profile.
It is going to feel quick.
It helps the amateur golfer that doesn't have speed in themselves generate speed through the club
and bring loft in.
And bring loft in, and then all you're really doing with stealth and HD, yes, you've got twist face to help keep it straight. But if you've got a really bad slice, really bad cut, then use the high draw one.
So if you're short, you need a bit of speed, keep the loft up, keep the shaft light.
Keep it soft, let it fly.
And then HD, if you have a bit of a cut, bring the HD
with a bit of a cut, just bring the HD in.
And then manipulate, obviously.
And then just manipulate. Again, if you've got a cut, again, you can use the hosel, go down and loft, close it over. The big cutters out there, that's the easiest solution there.
Listen, there's a lot there, a lot to take in. I get it. It can be complicated, sounds a little complicated. Basically, the big design change here from TaylorMade is the carbon face. By bringing carbon into the mix, you can take weight that was normally there in titanium and push it somewhere else. That's the key thing here. So the driver is more stable. However, it's really difficult to then take that weight that was in the face, move it somewhere else in the club, and retain the low spin. And that's where the loft then becomes even more critically important when you're choosing this driver. It has the twist face, it has the lighter face, it has a higher moment of inertia, so it is more stable. But folks, fitting is critical with this. This is not a plug and play. Please do not pull this off the shelf, stick it in the bag, think that you're done. The shaft needs a lot of work on this, and the loft and hosel settings need to be dialed into the way that you hit the golf ball. Do I think it's a great driver? I do. I like everything that TaylorMade does produce. They certainly work hard on producing this, and there's an Irish guy that was responsible for the design of the face, so it gets a double tick from me. If you're new to the channel, please give us a subscribe. This is fitting information, not necessarily how we hit it and all the data and crunch around that. It's about what we're actually using day to day. If you have a question about how you might use the settings to apply to you, why don't you stick it in the comments below? We answer all the questions that come in as best we can in relation to settings, lofts, shafts, any questions you have about how you might apply it to your game. Stick it in the comments below and we'll answer it, and we'll see you at the next video. Thanks a lot. Good luck.